if that's true, then what the hell pisses off the microglia to then cause them to start having the weird abnormalities that then cause the circuit disruption, right?
Right.
And that is when we ask, well, what would activate the microglia, right? The microglia have two states. They have the M2 state, which is kind of chill, right? They're regulated. They are really, in that case, in that state, they're like the caretakers, right? They're tending to the garden. They're appropriately pruning a branch here, appropriately pruning a branch there. They're helping the circuits form appropriately. When they shift to the M1 phase, and that is like they're having a psychotic break, and now they're taking a hacksaw or a chainsaw and literally just slashing shrubs, cutting down trees, like they're just slashing and burning the garden, and everything is a big hot mess. What would cause the microglia to shift from one phase, caretaker, to psychotic break, arsonist, destroy the garden? And that is some kind of typically infectious or microbial trigger because of toll-like receptors and all of these, funny little pathways that trigger this change. And what we know is when there is some kind of maternal inflammatory or infectious event, the risk of a child having increased neurodevelopmental challenges of whatever sort, including ASD, is significantly higher. So once we start putting this together, then it brings us down to, well, then what would trigger these microglia? And that boils down to a handful of microbes. It turns out certain toxins, even air pollution, can trigger microglial activation. It's when you start looking at the material and the data, you're like, oh my God, how in God's good earth could air pollution and the particulates from air pollution, which do get into the placenta, right, trigger that? On top of that, it turns out that mycotoxins and certain microbial compounds that are released in these damp environments absolutely pass through the placenta, absolutely can trigger microglial activation, and can start that process of neuroinflammation before that poor little baby is born. But clinically, what I find, and
so let me just stop you for a second. So I think the point that you're making is that what is seen as genetic factors leading to these conditions actually can be environmentally triggered, even though they happen in the womb.
100%. Yeah.